All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode Against the Ropes podcast. Another exciting week. Gio here alongside Chris. We're back in the building, man. We had some exciting action live from the UK last weekend. Of course, it's February. And we got I can hear myself. That was weird. I don't like listening to myself. But yeah, we got Ryan Garcia at the end of the month. We got some controversies there that we'll talk about with your boy Jake Paul. Probably the last time we speak his name on this podcast, Chris. And of course, you hear the rumors, potentially the return of Errol Spence against Tszyu. We'll get into it, Chris. We'll get into it. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, Joe, you said it. Welcome back to the fans that are trickling in. But yeah, amazing weekend. Again, I feel like we're getting a little mini spoiled. Some back-to-back great weekends. And again, you said it, Joe. I sent you a message of this fight, that announcement that just got dropped. Spence versus Tszyu. Man, dude, let's get started. What do you want to start with?
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Let's start with those rumors, man. Let's start with those rumors, and then we'll go with the fight second. But yeah, I did see this earlier in the week. Let me pull that up for you guys right there. Tszyu, Errol Spence. Now we knew that there was a possibility of Errol Spence obviously returning to the ring. He hasn't looked good lately. Obviously, we know he had the pair of accidents, car accidents, torn retina during one of his sparring sessions. And then he got stopped by Terrence Crawford after that. He's 35 years old now. Errol Spence. His last fight was against Terrence Crawford in 2023, Chris. They're saying he might fight summer, so that means he, at that time, would have been out of the ring for about 3 years. Errol Spence, you see it there. TKO loss against Terrence Crawford in July of 2023. Before that, he had to fight in April of 2022 against Ugas. He had a 2-year layoff. Before that, he fought Danny Garcia in 2020 COVID times, December. So yeah, he hasn't been too active, ever since those accidents. And on the other hand, Tszyu has been pretty active. He's been getting big fights. He's 31 years old. The Australian Tszyu. Shout out to all the Australian people, man. They're good boxing fans, good sports fans. 26-3 Tszyu. Like I said, 31 years old, 18 KOs to his name. He had those pair of losses versus Fundora. He got stopped versus Murtasaliev 2024. Had that bounce back win against Joey Spencer in 2025. And then same year he got stopped by Fundora. But he's been fighting good names, man. You see Terrell Gaucher there, Tony Harrison, Brian Mendoza, Fundora, as we mentioned a couple times, Bakram Murtazaliev. He's got a decent resume at 31 years old. So if this indeed happens, Chris, I think it's good for both of them. You see the headline there, sources. Errol Spence Jr. set to return to ring versus Tszyu in June. PBC Prime Video pay-per-view, Chris. They're putting everything on pay-per-view, but what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on Spence returning to the ring?
So first of all, this is a very intriguing fight, Gio. Obviously, the boxing world knows who Tszyu is. The boxing world knows who Errol Spence are. These are two guys that carry big name, big weight in the boxing world. And Gio, both of these guys are, pretty much almost in the same boat. They're both once upon a time the very best, in my opinion, in their divisions. These were guys that were blue chip fighters. You didn't see them losing, anytime soon. These were the guys that were going to take over boxing, possibly be the face of boxing. And again, you see what happened. They both have had their careers derailed, for one reason or another, either in the box ring or outside of the squared circle. So these both of these guys are pretty much at a crossroads, Gio, later on in their careers. And I think this is a great fight for both of them. It's low risk. Obviously, we know it's low risk, big reward in a sense, but they're fighting guys. Oh, they're fighting guys that are not as dangerous. Let's be real. Errol Spence is not, the Errol Spence that we knew that just ran through everybody. And Tszyu's boogeyman kind of personas, it's in doubt. Especially after those losses in the last 3 years. So Yeah, Gio, I think this is a well matched fight. Again, I think these both of these guys, are at the same crossroads. And man, I'm excited for this one, Gio. I think it's going to be a nice little bar burner. What about you? What did you think when this fight was announced?
Yeah, as I said, I like the fight for both of them. Actually, I think, as I said, Tszyu, I feel like he deserves to be rewarded. He was supposed to get that big fight against Keith Thurman. Fundora was the late replacement, and then that first fight was controversial. I thought Tszyu pulled it off. You guys remember that big nasty cut? He got that cut early in the fight. Pretty much fought the vast majority of that fight, almost blinded with all that blood in his face and his eyes. And at the end of the day, Fundora got the nod, and then when they ran it back, Tszyu got stopped. So you know, kind of unfortunate circumstances there for Tszyu, but now he has this opportunity to get a big, big payday against a big name like Errol Spence. And, I do believe that Errol does want to stick around at least for a couple more fights. And this can be a big money fight. So I'm not mad at
Yeah.
it. I like both of these guys. And, you know, they're most likely going to fight in June. Let me see if we have any more um, details here. The fight, which will headline PBC on Prime Video pay-per-view, will be Spence's debut at 154 pounds and is being targeted for either June 6 or June 13 at a venue in Australia to be determined. That would be a huge fight, I believe, in Australia.
Yeah. And again, Gio, again, I don't want to throw this word again. I don't want to be disrespectful to both of these men, but I mean, again, these two men have been in some life changing kind of bouts. Obviously with Errol Spence in there with Terence Crawford, just got demolished, and Tszyu obviously having tough affairs against Bakram and Fundora, and again, those were two other dangerous men in that division. So obviously Errol Spence is a little bit older, as you mentioned, 35, 34, 35 years of age. Tszyu a little bit younger, but still no spring chicken. So I would say this one favors Tszyu just a little bit, but you cannot. Again, there's a reason why Errol Spence was highly touted, one of the very best at 147 once upon a time. Rumors of him giving the Floyd Mayweathers all they can handle in his prime. So hopefully Errol Spence can turn back the time, because again, these are two guys that are fan favorites. The Tszyu, obviously, we know he's got that lore with that Tszyu name. The son of Kasia. Everybody was kind of hoping he would take over the division. Very, very promising early in his 20s, and so hoping that both of these guys can kind of turn back time. Again, I know conditioning is going to be a huge factor in this fight. We'll see if Errol Spence can turn back time just a bit. And again, Tszyu, we want to see him be that ferocious Tszyu that we were supporting early on in his career. So again, this kind of fight can kind of put them back into serious contention, but it's how they show up come fight Nigeria.
Yeah, we'll have more details, I'm sure, in the weeks to come. But it's
Yeah.
interesting. I kind of like it for both. Iceman says they both need a must win. Uh, is Spence looking for a payday? Why no tuna fight? Hmm. Yeah, I feel like Spence hasn't had a tuna fight in a long time. Obviously, he hasn't been very
Yeah.
active, but he's been fighting pretty much top dogs uh, since I don't know when, the last 7 years, I would say. Ever since I feel like that Kell Brook fight, he never looked back. So, I
Yeah.
don't know, or maybe he's looking at Tszyu as a tuna fight, Chris. I don't know, but I'm sure that possibility of it being in Australia, it's very enticing.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you, obviously, we don't know how, their camp is going to go. We don't know their mindset, but right now with the things we know about each fighter, obviously we know that Errol Spence is more of a athletic kind of fighter, kind of, come forward, boxer, puncher. Tszyu, similar, but less athletic, more of that Australian, Russian kind of style. Who do you favor in this fight? I know it's early, but I'm picking your brain, man. Who do you favor in this bout?
Right now, I would think Tszyu it has to be favored because of the activity, because Errol Spence hasn't looked good. He hasn't looked healthy. Even against Ugas, you know, yeah, he won, but At times he didn't look good in the fight. That fight before Terrence Crawford. So I would have to favor the young guy. I don't know. But yeah, this is definitely interesting.
Do you think? Obviously, we know Errol Spencer was the goods once upon a time. Do you think this is the type of fight where we see Errol Spence Jr. get hurt? I mean, you said it. Tszyu been more active. He's the younger fighter. Um, is it a possibility that the Errol Spence gets retired in this bout?
I feel like there is a strong and good possibility of that, as they mentioned here. It's gonna be his debut at 154 pounds. You know, division that Tszyu is used to. He's fought some of the biggest names there at 154: Fundora, Murtazaliev, Mendoza. So yeah, I think that is a very strong possibility, and this might be dangerous for Errol Spence, man. But I feel like out there's fighters who are even more dangerous. So I feel like he chose the right opponent.
Yeah. Again, I know you don't like my comparisons, and obviously there's so many differences that you can tear apart in my following comparison. But I
Oh,
feel like style wise,
here we go.
Errol Spence and Tim Do, just style wise, Gio, it might be a little bit like Sugar Shane Mosley Margarito, just on styles. I mean, obviously there's some differences there, but I feel like the style should favor Errol Spence because of his athleticism, that boxing IQ. But I don't know, man. Like you said, Tszyu is the fresher fighter. So he's been in some tough wars. You can't deny that, but just a fresher fighter in there. I think mentally they're both about the same, Joe. I think Errol Spence hasn't been the same since that obviously the car accident and the Crawford beat down. But Tszyu is not far behind. So I think they're both, like you said, coming in almost on par, minus the age difference. But we'll see, man. We'll see. Again, I think it's going to be very competitive, and I don't want to get my hopes up too much, so I can just be pleasantly surprised come fight night. When is the fight again, Joe? Is it June?
Yeah, so they're looking at June 6th or June 13th. So I'm sure they'll have
Oh,
that finalized soon. But let's go ahead and move
let's
on, Chris. Let's go ahead and move on.
go.
All right. Let's go straight to the action because Iceman already let his thoughts be known here. He says Figueroa shocked me, Chris. Figueroa, who stopped Nick Ball in the very last round. All right. 32 seconds of round 12. He hurt Nick Ball within the first 10 seconds of that last round. Um, it was a back and forth fight full of action. Two judges had Figueroa up. One judge had Nick Ball up, and that's the reason why I chose Nick Ball to win this fight because even though I wasn't always convinced with Nick Ball, we saw what happened with Murtazaliev, man. If you don't get a knockout, if you don't get a couple of knockdowns that actually count, because we saw Murtazaliev knock down Josh Kelly a couple times. The referee didn't even acknowledge them. Um, but you got to be able to hurt your opponent, and Figueroa did that. One judge had it wide for Nick Ball, man, and that's what I was worried about going into this fight. Um, Figueroa with Manny Robles in his corner. I'm sure you saw that graphic of all the upsets that Manny Robles has pulled off. I got to pull it up for you guys here. But yeah, good performance, Figueroa. He looked terrible against Stephen Fulton. We were very, very disappointed, but in this one, he came forward. Every single second of this fight, it seemed like, didn't run out of steam, and he was able to catch Ball, who, Ball tends to get reckless, especially once he gets tired, and it looked like that's what happened here. Threw a wild,
Yeah,
wild hook there at the end, got caught. Figueroa did a good job of, throwing that overhand left, which he had landed earlier in the fight a
yeah.
couple times too. He had already sent that warning, but this one landed flush, and credit to Nick Ball. He got up, but he only lasted a few seconds after that, man. He was hurt. Figueroa pounded him again a couple more times. Nick Ball ended up through the ropes there, and referee stopped the fight. So congrats to Figueroa. Congrats to Manny Robles. What a fight. And he did what he was supposed to, man. If you want to win over there, this is what you got to do.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I'm on the same page with Iceman. Figueroa also shocked me, Gio. Obviously, we don't want to be too influential, but yeah, we both said it. I think we picked Nick Ball to win. I wasn't thinking too much of the UK crowd, even though I knew that was a factor. But I just felt that Figueroa, especially the last 2 years, was has been a little inconsistent. And yeah, dude, he made me eat my words again. A huge win for him abroad. Again, he becomes a three division champ. So he's been quietly, been lifting those crowns under the radar. Again, we know that there's other bigger names that get this that they get the spotlight, they get the shine, but he's been a three division champion, Joe. That is no easy task. So again, congrats to him. Like you said, congrats to Coach Robles. I know in the past, the Coach Robles of the world, the Coach Diaz of the world, they've played second fiddle to some of these bigger coach names, and they've come up short. The previous, I want to say, before these last couple of years, the previous 7 to 10 years, and you said it. He's been having big upsets after big upsets, and it's looking like it's Coach Robles' year, Gio. Again, huge boost for him for already early on in the year for trainer of the year. If he keeps it going, he may just sneak one out this year. Gio, 2026 might be his year, but again, Figueroa, great knockout. Like you said, a very competitive affair throughout. Nick Ball, even though he was smaller, even though like something told me go for Figueroa, look at the size difference. I was like, nah, that size doesn't make the fighter. But in this fight, it was the pressure. It was the pressure, and again, hurting Nick Ball early in that 12th round and not letting it go to the scorecards, like you said. And man, what a win! You saw how they celebrated it. Again, it reminded me a little bit of that Andrew Ruiz celebration where they come in as the underdogs, the B side, and boom, you got a champion. So congrats to Robles, to Team Robles, and Figueroa.
Yeah, and you mentioned that height advantage. Nick Ball listed at 5'2", Figueroa listed at 5'9". Man, impressive that he's able to make 126 pounds, Figueroa, at that height. But to move on to Coach Manny Robles' upsets, here's the graphic. The most notable ones, obviously, Andrew Reese TKO in the 7th round against Anthony Joshua, June
Yeah.
1st of 2019. Rafael Espinosa's majority decision against Robesi Ramirez, December 9th of 2023. Armando Resendiz over Caleb Plant split decision. This was recent, May 31st of 2025. And of course, add this one to the list. Brandon Figueroa TKO's Nick Ball in Liverpool, England, February 7th of 2026.
Yeah, again, I mean, it's time to look at the stable. Obviously, we know he's got Dinamita there. If you see Dinamita go against the A-sider, we better put that money down, Joe. It's written in the cards right now. But yeah, you said it. The Resendiz one was a huge upset. Obviously, Spinoza before anybody knew who he was. Obviously, the everybody was on the Robesi train, and right there, Team Robles derailed it. But yeah, man, again, what a great win for Brandon Figueroa. Obviously, we know that he um, years past in the shadow of his brother, but I think he's come out of that shadow and he's making a great name for himself. And he broke Liverpoolian hearts, Joe. I know that your heart's there with them, but I think you'll let this one pass, right?
Man, I don't know. I took an L on the predictions, man. I ain't happy about this one. Figueroa, man, this guy, as I said, he looked so bad against Fulton. He looked great in the first fight against Fulton. The rematch, he looked terrible. And now, he looked like his old self, the one that was a guy who's very tough to beat, man. Southpaw. He throws a lot of punches. He doesn't gas out. As Big Bro mentioned here, Nick Ball looked gassed out there at the end. Um, but yeah, Figueroa's a guy who's going to come forward. And yeah, he disappointed a lot versus Fulton. And that's why we were so hesitant to pick him. But yeah,
Yeah.
he did a great job in this one, adding to that list of great upsets by Coach Manny Robles. And one less champion for England, Chris, for the UK, who had recently had Josh Kelly at this as their newest crown champion. Obviously, Dalton Smith had a huge win against Gabriel Matias, but yeah, Nick Ball couldn't get it done in his hometown.
Yeah, and Jet, I have to say, even though Brandon, or even though Figueroa doesn't display, the NOA technique or the Shakur Stevenson boxing IQ, I feel like a three division champ at this point, I think it puts him in the top 20 pound for pound. You can have your own opinion, disagree, but I think with this three division, he makes a case for the top 20. Again, nothing flashy, nothing special, but just that, just winning and winning under the radar, and then obviously just that one loss that many people discounted him, but the work rate is there, the wins are there, the resume is building. Again, a three division champion. People dream of being just a champion at one division. If you're a two division champion, okay, you got something going. A three division champion, oh man, something's brewing there, Gio. So again, I think he enters the top 20 pound per pound. Obviously, we don't see past the 10, but I think he merits some credit with this huge win abroad, Gio.
Yeah, and look, the heartbreak kid, Brandon Figueroa. I think the one that put him on the map was the one against Nettie, that KO in 2021.
Yeah,
That's when Nettie was probably at his best, and he hit him with that crazy body shot. That fight was here in Carson, California. Hit him with that body shot and shot and stopped him.
yeah,
The fight right after that, also in 2021, was that majority decision uh, versus Stephen Fulton. He got the short end of that stick, but probably deserved more. He beat guys like Mike Zayo, Carlos Castro, Jesse Magdaleno. Lost to Fulton badly the second time. And now he's got a good pair of wins after that, Joet Gonzalez and Nick Ball. So not a bad resume there for Brandon Figueroa, who improves to 27. He has 2 losses, 20 KOs. He's still only 29. So yeah, if he can stay consistent, man, he can be a real player. At 126, possibly 130. We'll see, man. It doesn't look like he struggles too much to make weight, even at his height of 5'9", as they list him. Let's go to some quick comments here. Uh, Espinosa's the top at 126. That would be an interesting fight. Both men very, very tall for that division. Iceman talks about the hand wraps. Yeah, there was some controversy there. The hand wraps. Manny Robles spoke about it. He spoke about once he got into Nick Ball's dressing room, they had already wrapped his hands, and he said, "Man, what the heck?" So they didn't allow Nick Ball's corner to be present for Brandon Figueroa's wrap. So that started off like that. Fast forward to after the knockdown, people started booing, throwing stuff at Manny Robles, Brandon Figueroa, and team. I guess because they were celebrating a little too much while Nick Ball was still on the ground. I don't know. They were upset, but and at that point they just pulled off a big upset. So what can you do?
yeah. And again, this makes things very interesting at 126, Gio. Obviously, we know some of the other title holders in that division. It's Espinosa, Angelo Leo, Shushu Carrington, and now Figueroa. And who's brewing south of that division? A monster in a way. So, yeah, again, very interesting time for that division. Very good time for Brandon Figueroa to pick up this win. I think those big money fights are slowly going to start creeping up and opening. And yeah, man, again, just a win away, win abroad. You got you're in the driver's seat now, Gio. So I got to ask you, who do you want to see, Brandon Figueroa, or who makes sense for him? We already saw he's 29, so it's time for him to make money. What makes sense for Brandon Figueroa in 2026?
Well, let's look at the list of champions. All right. But that Espinoza fight would be very interesting just because it would be an action-packed fight. But let's look at the champions here. Rafael Espinosa, Angelo Leo. He takes that one. Come on, man. And Shushu Carrington. All those fights are very interesting. Even Ray Vargas, if he's still in the mix, that's interesting. We know Figueroa came from the division at 122 pounds, which is king in right now. He has all the belts at 122. If we look at 130, guys who maybe a little bit bigger, but look, Navarrete's fighting soon. That would be an interesting fight. Lamont Roach, Oshaki Foster. I think, man, he's a marketable guy who can get some of these big fights, but stylistically, look, if you want to get another strap, you go after Angelo Leo, man. We talked about, you know, that 147-pound division. I think Leo's no disrespect, but I think Angelo Leo's Mario Barrios of this division. You go after that, but the other two fights, Tszyu and Espinoza, I think stylistically he's an entertaining fighter. So, I think those will be good ones.
Yeah, I agree. I think you put him against Angelo Leo to build up his name and again pick up another strap, and then unify once more against somebody like Espinoza, even though that's a tough fight, but it's a good matchmaking. Obviously, some similarities in their height and their reach, different styles, but it would make for a great fight. And of course, we know that the winner of that fight, their stock would rise heavily. A Mexican versus a Mexican American affair. Come on. And Shushu Carrington, I think that's the more dangerous of those men at 126. Even though Shushu, I think, has the least amount of experience, he's one of the more talented hard hitter. He would have, I think, trouble with Brandon and Espinoza. We saw him, pass his first test this past, the last 2 weekends, and so yeah, again, 126 is red hot. Again, I also wouldn't be against if anyone decides to move up, go cash out in Tokyo, Gio. Again, we've seen it. Anybody that gets in the ring with Naoya Inoue, you don't lose much. Again, you're going up against a generational talent, so you're definitely going to get a bag if you go against Naoya Inoue, but you probably will not walk away with your strap. So again, a lot of movement in that 126, and obviously there's mandatories that the WBC, the WBA, that they're gonna pile up against you. But I think unification bouts make sense for the right price. But yeah, I agree with you. I didn't want to say it, Joe, but you beat me to it with that Leo comparison.
Yeah, I think Iceman said Fig is a two weight world class division, weight class division. Yeah, I think it's only two, 122 and 126. But Big Bro says about Figueroa that he hasn't beaten any of the other champions. Hey, I think he beats Leo, man. I for sure think he beats Leo. I think anyone beats him. No disrespect, Leo. Let's see. What was he saying? Never rated ball down.
I was gonna say Leo's been holding to that strap a little too long, man. I feel like he should have lost it by now, but
Yeah.
either he's not fighting or he's fighting guys we don't know about.
Yeah, he won. Remember, he won that title by stopping Venado. That was one of the bigger upsets in recent times, too. Big Bro says, I never rated ball that high. So beating him, I don't think he's top 3, he says.
Okay. Again, I think Brandon's been going again. He's always been a little under the radar, not the most talkative. He doesn't go on social media a lot. He kind of does his winning inside the ring and then kind of disappear until the next fight. So I gotta give him some props, Gio. I mean, I maybe not top 3, but he's definitely deserving of a belt. He's a title holder. Had to do it, like you said, abroad against. We already know how the UK. Again, we love our UK fans. We love you know the fan base out there, but it's been a little sus as of late, man. Let's just leave it at that.
Hmm. All right. Well, that's all I got on that one. We take the L on this one, man. We were going for ball. I think for me, it was more just of a hometown crowd type of thing. And Figueroa looking so bad against Fulton. But yeah, same. I never really rated Ball so high. He doesn't really have those signature wins in his resume. But he's an exciting fighter, man. He's an exciting fighter. Did you want to add anything, Chris?
No, I was just gonna say we've been getting a few predictions wrong like the last month and a half, man. I mean, again, I mean, obviously we don't want to get them wrong, but we're also kind of happy, man. I like being surprised. I like being shocked. I like upsets. Again, I don't want to, fill out my card and have it, already set in stone like some of these judges, man. Again, that's what boxing is. We're supposed to be proven wrong, and we don't always have the answers. But when somebody shows us up, hey, man, you got to tip your hat off to them. And again, congratulations to the Heartbreaker and to Team Robles.
All right. And let's go to one of our last topics here, Chris. I'm sure you heard about this one. Your boy. I'm just kidding. I don't know if he's your boy, but Jake Paul taking some heat this last Sunday. Criticized the Super Bowl halftime show there with Bad Bunny, who's obviously from Puerto Rico, had some words to say, and he must have forgot that he lives in Puerto Rico. He must have forgot that the biggest star in his
Jesus.
stable, Amanda Serrano, is from Puerto Rico. Man, what a way to shoot yourself in the foot, man. Just when you thought he was, getting some respect from boxing fans, signing young fighters, signing a ton of women to his stable, fighting a real fighter in Anthony Joshua. What a way to fumble it, man. This is what he said after that performance. He tweeted that he said, "Turn off this halftime. A fake American citizen performing who publicly hates America. I cannot support that," says Jake Paul. And even his brother had enough sense to, disagree with him. I know Amanda Serrano had some words to say. I'll pull that up as well here soon.
What she said.
Yeah, go ahead with your initial thoughts on this, Chris. While I pull that up. Um,
Yeah, honestly, this I barely heard about this like earlier this morning, so I was a little shocked. I still have not heard Amanda Serrano's comments, so I'm happy to hear those in a little bit. Again, Amanda Serrano, Puerto Rican descent, one of his main promotional fighters. Obviously, we know Jake Paul for promoting women's boxing, so very surprising. Like you said, he lives in Puerto Rico, so very unexpected choice of words. In my opinion, this is what happens when you have some like hidden personal feelings. And I don't know if he had too much to drink, Gio. I don't know if he was just feeling himself and nobody checks him. I don't see why not. He's very outspoken, uh, social media personality. So I think it was one of those moments where he probably just said something he didn't mean. And like you said, wrong choice of words, buddy. Not the time or the place. And especially you that has Puerto Rican fighters and a Puerto Rican home. Man, wrong person to say that.
yeah, 100%. This is what Amanda Serrano wrote. I am proud to be Puerto Rican. I am proud to be an American citizen. Puerto Ricans are not fake Americans, quote unquote. We are citizens who have contributed to this country in every field, from military service to sports, business, science, and the arts. And our identity and citizenship deserve respect. I do not agree with statements that question the legitimacy or identity of Puerto Rican people, and I cannot support that characterization. It is wrong. Um, and then Paul later retracted his comments, of course, after the backlash. He tweeted, "To clarify, I wasn't calling anyone a quote unquote fake citizen because they're from Puerto Rico," he said. "But if you're publicly criticizing ICE who are doing their job and openly hating on America, I'm going to speak on it, period," he says.
Yeah, again, very obviously this can go in so many ways, Gio. But again, it's I think in the boxing world, you try not to mix things like that, and especially keep it moving, keep it boxing, keep remember who you have around, who it affects. And then yeah, I feel like Jake Paul just everybody's got their own beliefs and all that, but man, just that's the wrong. Come on, man. You know who you're surrounded. You know what sport this is that you're in. You know who's in and around Latinos. So yeah, I think bad choice of words for Jake Paul.
Yeah, he's got to run it with a Puerto Rican now, Chris. He's got to run it like with an Edgar Berlanga or something.
Yeah.
I think is what you said. I think exactly what you said. These guys have, behind closed doors, they have their opinions. Probably had a little bit too much to drink, and the truth comes out. So yeah, for me, I feel like I didn't really care about uh Jake Paul, but I feel like it's fuck him from now on. I'm not gonna speak his name on this podcast unless I'm clowning him.
Yeah. No, again, I think I think we've had criticism of him justified in the beginning. We criticized YouTubers trying to break into the sport. As he was winning and winning and winning, there was still some criticism there, but slowly and surely we were giving him some credit when he was being entertaining. We were giving him some credit when he was winning or fighting at least the Furies of the world. And obviously, as he fought other fighters, we criticized it where it was warranted, and we gave props where he earned it. And yeah, man, after this one, it's gonna be hard to defend him, Joe. Again, he's made a lot of money off the sport. He's he's done some great things for boxing, for women's boxing, like we mentioned. He's done some great things in Puerto Rico. So again, yeah, this is a little shocking that it comes from him. But like you said, people feel the way they feel, and that stuff comes out sometimes because they have no filter, and boom, becomes a wrath. Again, we 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 try to speak our truth when we want, but there's also some things that we're not gonna say because come on now, like just gotta be smart, Gio. So yeah, he loses a lot of stock, Gio.
Yeah,
And we thought that he had already lost stock with Joshua. Foo, this is even worse.
man. Back to back L's for Jakey Paul. But yeah, I feel like that's all I have, Chris. I knew we were gonna keep this one relatively short. We can go into the boxing schedule, the fights coming up. But is there anything else that you would like to touch on?
Nah, again, I think we touched all bases, man. And again, some great boxing weekend. We got some great news with the return of Errol Spence and Tszyu. And yeah, man, again, this year has been pretty good thus far. Some unexpected great fights, some good names, and hopefully this momentum keeps going with this schedule, Gio.
Yeah, man, the year of the return. We know Tyson Fury's also coming back, so we'll see who else decides to return. February
Your boy,
5th. Yeah, go ahead.
your boy Deontay Wilder's coming back too. He's wilding out. Let's go.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's wild, but um yeah, let's see what we have coming up this weekend, February 15th. That's a Sunday too, I believe. Yeah, Sunday. Las Vegas, another SUFA boxing event, Paramount Plus, FA Jogba versus Charles Martin. If anyone is interested in that. They don't have as many names as their last card, but hey, they're being consistent at least. Obviously, February 21st, we have The Zone, Las Vegas, Ryan Garcia. Oh, let me phrase that. Mario Barrios versus Ryan Garcia. Barrios is the champion, so you got to put his name first. Mario Barrios versus Ryan Garcia.
And
Welterweight
Gio,
title fight. Yeah, go ahead.
and we said it. Brian Garcia could finally become a champion and a title holder. Rolando Romero's already a two-division title holder, and Ryan might finally join the club. So very exciting times.
Yeah, you know what's crazier though? Um, both at 147, so they can run it back for a unification title fight, Chris. How insane would that be?
That is crazy. The way boxing works, right, Gio? The way boxing works, man.
Hey, the way marketing works, man. The way marketing works.
Exactly. We'll see what happens.
Now, young bucks, step up your marketing. You better be a hell of a fighter or a hell of a promoter, man. Promote yourself. Look at these guys. They're a great example of that. But let's continue on that boxing schedule because that undercard should be good. It's pay-per-view card. So they got Gary Anton Russell against Andy Hiroka. Richardson Hitchens versus Oscar Duarte. I like that fight. Frank Martin is also on there. Got Josh Warrington against Lee Wood. Again, that fight same day, live from England. I know what else do we got? Clarissa Shields on the 22nd, Emmanuel Navarrete on the 28th versus Eduardo Nunez. And that's what it is for February. Not too bad, Chris. Not too bad. Obviously, the headliner of that month, that Barrios Garcia fight.
Yeah, and I bought the subscription for those two fights, so I feel like I'm getting my money's worth. So I mean, it just depends what kind of Brian Garcia shows up. We know what Mario Barrios has. He's a good boxer, limited in power, but a good boxer, racks up rounds up until that big punch comes from a power puncher. We saw what happened with Gervonta. So Ryan Garcia, I think, has to be favored. But and this is a toss up with the kind of Ryan Garcia that shows up come fight night. But I'm excited for this one, Joe. For sure, I'm excited for this one because like you mentioned, many fights to be made. If Ryan Garcia comes out on top, and again, like you said, the way he markets himself, imagine how he's going to market himself if he becomes a champion. So excited for this one.
And yeah, I think that's it for today. Next week, we'll break it all down. We got to give our official predictions for that fight, Chris. So can't wait. We got to get back on the winning column. I'll try to have that graphic up ready for you guys. But yeah, that should be good. And we got a few fights on that card that we'll be giving our predictions for. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to it.
I feel like we won the first round. We give away the last two rounds when it comes to some of these predictions, but we'll get back, Gio. Come on, we can't stay down for long. We'll take that little knee and then we get back up. But let's go. 126. Let's go. Vámonos.
Yes, sir. Hey, man, I don't know how I'm getting the number one spot in the comment section. Iceman's been on fire. YouTube's giving me the number one badge there, the crown, whatever you call it. Man, I'm gonna hand it to you, Iceman. All right, Iceman's been on fire. They got some bias going on here, the algorithm, but I got you, my guy.
No, and again, Gio, I feel like again we've had some good fights early on with the Muratayas, and some of the other fights we've had the weekends past. So yeah, this past weekend again, I know that these fights went under the radar, but a very good card all around on the zone in Liverpool. So yeah, again, let's keep that momentum going. Want to see big name fights get made, and yeah, man, I know there's stuff going on in the background. Oscar De La Hoya, Ortiz and their manager drama. But man, let's keep the good names going, and hopefully everything gets resolved because we want those big names and we want that 154 division to get moving. So yeah, man, let's do it.
Yes, sir. If you are new to the channel, as always, subscribe, like, comment, all that stuff, share. Be on the lookout for the post tab. Let me see what I've posted recently in that post tab. Let me see if there's anything important on there. Everything is important, but you know what I mean. Oh yeah. This is something good to talk about here. Something positive from that Super Bowl weekend. Xander Zayas and
Right.
Emiliano Vargas were in the Bad Bunny Super Bowl performance at halftime. Chris, that was pretty cool. When I first saw them, I was like, "Ooh, cool, boxing, right?" And I'm like, "Hey,
Yeah.
that guy kind of looks like Zayas," but I didn't think it was actually him. So it's pretty cool. He actually put real
Yeah.
people in there as opposed to just putting actors. And I was a bit surprised to see Vargas there. Obviously, he's not Puerto Rican. He's Mexican
Mhm.
American, but very cool to see nonetheless. Sayas 100% makes sense, but shout out to Vargas too, who got to make an appearance there.
Yeah, no, and I was watching the game with my coworkers, with my Anglo Caucasian coworkers, and yeah, they enjoyed the show. They enjoyed the beat. They didn't know what Bad Bunny was saying, but they enjoyed it. And yeah, when that boxing part came out, I explained it to them. I was like, "Oh, boxing is very, very, very big in Puerto Rico. Some of the best athletes are boxers." And I was like, "That guy on the left that you saw throwing punches, I've actually interviewed that guy." And they got all excited, like, "Oh, that's so awesome!" And I was like, "Yeah, that guy's a champ." We've been kind of, roasting him on the podcast, but it's all love. That means he's doing something right. So yeah, man. Again, it was great to see boxing on the biggest stage. Shout out to Bad Bunny for showing boxing love. He didn't have to do that, so very very cool of him to do that. On what 135 million people saw that. That's awesome. So yeah, shout out to the man that's just killing it in the music scene.
Yeah, that's right. And this is another example of him doing the right things, Chris. He made a Super Bowl appearance. I'm sure, a lot of people were asking, who's that guy? Who's the other guy, Who's the guy on the left? Who's
Yeah,
the guy on the right? You know, you interviewed Zayas. I got to interview Vargas. So hey, we can both say
yeah.
we interviewed someone there on that screen. But yeah, that was huge. That was pretty cool to see.
Oh, you know what? You now it makes sense. Now I know why Jake Paul was talking crap because he didn't get chosen, to be in there. So that's why he lashed out. He was promised that he was going to be one of those boxers, and they were like, "Oh no, we need real boxers. Go sit down."
Damn,
Yeah,
it's
it
crazy.
came out.
Yeah,
we're just playing. We're just joking
it
with you,
makes
Jake.
sense.
We're just teasing up in here, man.
It
You can
makes.
still sponsor us.
All right, last comment here before we get out of here. Um, Iceman says, "How do you say yes in Spanish?" He said Seahawks.
Damn,
What do you rate that joke, Chris?
that's not bad. I think it puts Iceman over him, man. You got the number one spot, but we'll take that dad joke.
Bro,
No, again,
they still got him at number 2. That's crazy.
damn.
Hey, I thought you were gonna say 6'7".
It's up there. It's up there. Got to throw more haymakers, Iceman. You got to go to the body. But yeah, no. As for me, Joe, again, I'm excited for the boxing for the rest of 2026. I know Canelo's coming back. Obviously, Tyson Fury couldn't stay in retirement, so we got some big names coming back. And yeah, man, hopefully the Virgil get resolved. We get better fights with Inoue. I don't expect him to fight 4 times, man. You can't promise. I don't expect 4 times, but 3 times a year, and boxing will be in good hands. Again, Usyk doing his thing. I see him, fighting at least twice a year. So as long as we get those big names, keeping that momentum going, I think boxing will be in a good state.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, that's that. Let's get out of here. Thank you, mates, for tuning in. We'll be back soon. Peace.
Good shit, heartbreaker. Vámonos, Robles.
Get us in the Super Bowl, man. Get us at the halftime show.
Oh,
Payday. Payday.
payday.
Hola amigos, soy Juan Francisco AtR. Quiero mandar un saludo para mis amigos de Contra las Cuerdas. Échenle muchas ganas. Un abrazo, muchas bendiciones.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. You know what mine is? Let's box, bitches. It's almost fight night.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. Thank you for the support. Keep doing your thing. You're doing a great job. So thank you and best wishes.
Against the ropes. Huge shout out to Against the Ropes. Against the Ropes.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. Thank you guys for the interview, and hope to see you guys soon.
Against the Ropes, always doing the right thing.
Shout out to Against the Ropes, man. I appreciate you guys for having me.